Welcome to the Indie Beacon Show, where readers can discover great new indie authors. Find us on all major podcast systems and YouTube. Join Diann Floyd Bohem on today's show.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Indie Beacon Radio Show. I'm your host, Diann Floyd Bohem, and I have with us tonight an incredible author. I cannot wait for you to meet her, Charlayne Denney. Please welcome her. Hello, Charlayne.
Hi, Diann.
I'm so excited to have you here. I've been reading all about you and your stories. It's so exciting.
That's great. Angels and vampires.
That's right. Oh my goodness. And so tell me, this is your latest book, correct?
Yeah, number 4 is out and number 5 is being written.
Is being written. Oh, it's so exciting. I have to add a little feedback. Yeah. Tell me, how did you get started in this particular genre?
I have been a vampire fan since the old days of Dark Shadows in the 1960s. I'm old enough to remember that. And vampires have been my thing forever.
I actually remember Dark Shadows too. I could not wait to get my homework done so I could to watch Barnaby.
Yes, and I used to run home from school and do that same thing, and it was amazing to see the vampires and stuff. And then I've fallen in love with, Dracula and all of the permutations of that. And I'm a big fan of J.R. Ward's Black Dagger Brotherhood series.
Oh.
So that kind of shoved me in that area. But I began to work for Paranormal Romance Guild as a reviewer back when I was at home after not being able to work. And I got bored and I figured I need books. Well, I couldn't afford books right then, so the best thing to do is get free books. I'll be a reviewer.
There you go.
And I reviewed
a lot of them. Opened a lot of ideas and got you going.
Oh yes. And it was a picture in a book on Storyville, which was the brothel area of New Orleans in the right around 1900. I'm a historian by training.
Oh, okay.
So I read a lot of history. And I saw this picture of this woman and I thought, who is she? What is she doing? And then I saw vampire. And that just blew the doors off the book. And I thought it was going to be one little bitty romance, 3-way thing. It decided to be a series, and I blew up a building a book for. What am I going to do now?
Well, series are great because as a reader, as you know, we fall in love with the various characters and we can feel that there's more to them in the storyline. And I guess as you evolved with your characters, you too wanted to bring out each one in a different way. Is that right or wrong?
That's right. And every time I thought I had a good handle on them, something would twist. I kind of see this as a movie. I'm writing what I'm seeing in my head. Mm-hmm. And so sometimes the characters will do things that I didn't expect, if that makes sense.
Yes, absolutely.
So, and then I get this one person, I'm like, where did you come from? But the bellboy that ended up being the ghoul, I mean, come on.
Yeah, at least expected it, right?
Oh, yeah. And
go ahead, I'm sorry.
That's okay. The angels were the other thing that when they got involved, it was like, okay, now we're on real strange territory, but mm-hmm. It's working. So.
Mm-hmm. And do you find yourself writing in the morning, at night? Do you need to have a special environment to feel? No?
Nope. Whenever it happens, it happens. I've always got a notebook with me. I'm an old school. I write on paper a lot of the time.
Me too.
And so I'll jot things down in notebooks. Mm-hmm. And I've got five subject notebooks sitting right here next to me.
Wow.
Full of stuff.
Wow.
All the story building, world building that I've done with the angels, the demons, the vampires, and the humans, mm-hmm. and all of where they cross.
And with that, most of us think about vampires as being cruel, but you're showing another side as well. And so how do you morph into the romance to make it work?
It's kind of weird. It's kind of strange. Whoa, hang on. It keeps slipping out. Sorry. It's kind of strange with the fact that I see the love story going on between Sullivan and Lily. Sullivan is a former, oops, can you see? Sorry. Sullivan is a former vampire or a former angel. She turned him.
Oh.
And now there's that whole emotions and things like that. Poor Sullivan is learning the world again.
Mm-hmm.
Lily's trying to teach him, and her maker is causing problems. And so the romance has been between the two men and her.
Oh.
Now we've got a bunch more people involved.
It'll be fun to see where all it goes.
Yeah, it's going to be great. I don't know where it's going completely.
Mm-hmm. And so you don't need to find yourself like walking a cemetery for inspiration, no?
Oh, I can't do it as much. I'm in a wheelchair when I'm not,
Okay.
But Google Maps is your friend, especially Street View.
Oh, okay.
I drive all over the place, all the places in my books, with the exception of Heaven, Hell, and now Russia that I'm taking them to this next trip. Everything I've put in there, you can go to the places I go to. I blew up the building my husband and I used to work in.
Wow.
In Houston. I knew it. I knew what the book looked like, the building looks like, so I could do it.
Yes. That is very clever. I never thought about making Google Maps my friend and being able to see things. And also then you get the aerial view as well.
And that helped a lot when I was doing explosion, because I could see the blocks in front of the building and where the glass was and what the cars were doing. And so I could put that into it and make sure that you could see how this came together.
That's awesome. And as a side note, because inspiration comes in many forms, but also you mentioned your husband, and I was reading a little bit on your website, which is a great website, by the way. And viewers, I really recommend you go there. It's wonderful to read about each one of your books, to highlight it, but also, now your husband's very interesting because he fell in love with you, and one of the things you liked about him was which game?
We play World of Warcraft. And World of Warcraft. Yes, we've been married 28 years this year, and we met at a science fiction convention when both of us were divorced and never going to do this again. And he has been, my right-hand buddy. He's sitting right over there, as a matter of fact. And
hello, buddy.
He's waving. And he helps me with, I will bounce things off of him. Okay, this is going to happen. What do you think about this? And he has complicated more storylines than anybody I've ever seen.
Men have a way of doing that, don't they?
Oh yeah, he'll say, well, we need to do this, and I'm like, okay, we can do this. And he's run off of plot line more times helping me, but it's great to have a partner that can tell you things and share the enthusiasm.
Absolutely. I concur completely. But going now back to your book, because there's so many levels, what inspired you about this particular book that just came out?
The new one, it's a continuation of the story. We went to San Antonio in book 3 because I live in Houston and I write around Houston. And the first book started night of Katrina, 2005. Katrina, 3 weeks later, we bugged out of Houston to San Antonio, Dallas, and wherever, caused the biggest traffic jam ever in the history of the world. And I added it in. And so I had to go from where that happened and the turning of Marcus's ghoul and where we were going to go back to Houston. And Marcus is having some problems. My other guy is really having some problems. problems with a
Well,
lot of things.
Well, I'm going to hold you to telling us more about that. We have to take a short break for our sponsors, but I can't wait to hear more. So let's hear from our sponsors.
Marianne Fairmouth is a career consultant with 30 years experience in the national recruiting world, a multi-award-winning author in multi-genres, and a speaker that gives presentations to help you succeed. Her book, Revolutionary Recruiting, made the top 20 global list of recruiting books. Find her on Amazon, your favorite bookstore, or at fairmouth.com.
Hello, I am the author Denise Bryson. My first book is The Things That Cross My Mind, Inspirational Poetry with Life Lessons. And then my audio book is Love's Reality, and it is also inspirational poetry with a jazzy flair. And then my new book is The Sex, the Lies, and the Soul Ties. They're really short stories written from a poetic expression. And then I have my first children's book series, the Blinky series, which the first book is called Meet the Coins, and it is both in English and Spanish. And then the new book, From Coins to Bills. I am the author, Denise Bryson.
To embrace your children's imagination, check out Diann Floyd Bohem's books for kids. There's The Moonling Adventures, all about the animals in the Serengeti. And then there's Harry the Camel, learning to love yourself just the way you are. Then The Little Girl in the Moon. There's one about friendship, another one about the big ideas, which is an inspirational story, and then Tour Tycho Town, right there in Tycho Crater on the moon. All of Diann Floyd Bohem's books are available at B4R Store.
Welcome to the Indie Beacon Show, where readers can discover great new indie authors. Find us on all major podcast systems and YouTube. Join Diann Floyd Bohem on today's show.
Well, Charlayne, we are back, and I'm so happy to be with you. You left off ready to tell us some secrets about your book.
Oh, let me see here. What secrets can I let go? Marcus is not all he seems. Marcus, he is Lily's maker, and she's Sullivan's maker, and he's causing some problems. He's trying to get into hell, or into heaven, and he's doing it on the backs of the angels. He's taking angels and turning them into vampires for an army.
Terrible. Oh,
yeah.
I really want this to be a movie. I hope you're working with someone.
I would love to. I'm going to be real control freak if it happens, because I saw what happened to Charlayne Harris and True Blood. And so I'm kind of like, we'll play nice with this for a while.
Okay.
But
Well, Supernatural was such a hit, so it seems
yeah.
like yours would definitely fall into that line. And I was a huge Supernatural follower, so
me too.
I still watch the reruns. But back to you. Which of your other books would you like to highlight, like your very first one, and what inspired you?
The first one was my labor of love. It was, I poured all of it into there. As I said, I'm a historian, so the first 3 chapters of Lily's Angel take place in New Orleans in 1900. New Orleans, is a little background, started trying to get their brothels into one 12-block area just north of the quarter.
Mm-hmm.
And they had everything from the little cribs with one bed and a door, basically, up to mansions holding 40 and 50 girls.
Wow.
And the most famous of that is Mahogany Hall over on Basin. And I put Lily in Mahogany Hall as one of the girls. She's got a background of being left there by her father because her mother died and he couldn't handle her. And she was raised by the madam. And one night she took one of her first clients to bed and woke up dead in a crypt, St. Louis One Cemetery. And the poor girl was so afraid to come out that she spent 100 years in that crypt and did not come out.
Oh.
And the night of Katrina, 2005, the angels are coming to take the souls that have died and to do all the other things angels do. And somebody got a hold of the fact that there were two tuned vampires in that cemetery.
Oh.
The angels tune your aura so they can find you again, because everybody knows all vampires go to hell eventually, and they have to find you to take you.
Mm-hmm.
So they had to send an angel to go tune her.
Oh, wow.
And he meets up with a gang.
Mm.
And he wakes up dead in the crypt next to her, and not knowing why he's having all these emotions she's never had before. So Sullivan gets there, and from there it just moves.
It just does.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
On those first 3 chapters, this is something that it's not in the book, but it's background. Everybody in the first 3 chapters, with the exception of Marcus, Jesse his ghoul, and Abe the bouncer, and Lily, everyone else, all the funeral scene, the band, everything, were there in that time doing that job in that place, including the priest, all of the girls. I went to the census to get names.
Mm-hmm.
So when you're reading that, these are real people.
That's amazing. I love to actually walk some of the cemeteries in New Orleans, and now you've made me want to go even read more.
Oh yeah.
On a side note, have you ever thought about adding, like, have you ever walked the Galveston cemeteries? Because the history there is so phenomenal. And
oh yeah.
Sometimes the people just jump out at me. I don't know why, but yeah, I don't know if that's something some of your guys could tackle or not, but it'd be interesting.
I did tackle that. I have
you did? Okay.
I have a short story that has not been published, because the night that they left New Orleans, they came to Houston. They went to Galveston because that was the big city back then, and they got caught up in the 1900 storm. Marcus and Jesse are in Galveston at the 1900 storm, and it's everything that went around them. But it's a short story, and I'm going to publish it. I just haven't yet.
Well, that'd be really great. You'll have to let the Houston Heritage Society know about it. They work with the Galveston Museum, so that'll be fun for them to know about it. Oh
yeah, and I've spent a lot of time in Galveston. I'm 15 miles from Galveston. I live in Friendswood.
Oh, I know where that is, of course.
Yeah, so I drive up and down the highway and go to Galveston. Our first dates were over in Galveston on the ferry. I've taken grandchildren to the cemeteries, and when they were little, it was great fun. And my granddaughter, Haven, she helped me with the books, the first book especially. Wow. She was all of 15, 14, and was telling me things to do. And she couldn't read the book till she turned 18 because there's a little sex in there, you know? But
that's okay. But you must be a great inspiration to them as well.
Haven published her first book when she was 17 years old.
Oh, congratulations.
So I've got that one in my inventory.
Well, that's really good. That is awesome. It's wonderful when you're writing and you can share that with the loved one. So yay for you. Yeah. Where do you see yourself going next?
Let's see. We're going to Russia in this 5th book, and from there it's going to get into more of the heaven and hell parts, with Lily kind of being around and the thing. The Vampire Council is having problems. So I'm going to be writing. I don't think this is going to stop for a while. I think I'm going to have at least 4 more books going.
That's awesome. And are you going to be making appearances anywhere for people to come and see you and get signed books by chance? I know we're coming out of COVID, so it's kind of hard.
Not yet. We don't have anything on the calendar yet. If people see me out, they can come by, because there's always books in the car, and I do that. And if people email me, we can get together. I've just missed human contact the last year.
Isn't that the truth?
7 conventions canceled last year.
That's a lot, isn't it? We can all talk about that one for sure. So happy the world is opening up.
Oh, yes.
So I wonder if the vampires suffered from COVID. They couldn't, or did it give them more blood for frustrated people?
Actually, it wouldn't. And it's funny you say that, because we're going to meet the Nosferatu in this next book. I don't know if you know, that's the ugly vampires with the rat teeth.
Yes.
There's actually a movie called Nosferatu, was done in the 20s.
Wow, I did not know that.
Yeah, go back and find it. It's a silent, but it's great. The Nosferatu are the result of poisoned blood.
Oh.
They bite somebody with AIDS, they bite somebody with leukemia, they lose their face, they lose their stuff, and they turn into Nosferatu. And the Vampire Council hates them and wants them to go away, so they've run away with the Archangel Michael.
Oh my goodness.
Helping them.
Oh my goodness.
That's where we're
I don't
headed.
know how you think of these things. I think I'd be having nightmares, but at the same time, it's exciting at the same time. Well, we have to hear from our sponsors one more time. And when we come back, I'm going to hear all about how we can tell everyone to get a hold of your books.
Sounds good.
So great. Let's hear from our sponsors.
Publishing marketing package for authors. A $1,500 value, save 40% now. Includes a 6-piece marketing kit of 250 bookmarks, 250 business cards, 250 postcards, 1 table banner, 1 table runner, and 50 download cards, plus book cover design, ebook creation, PDF setups, upload to Ingram Spark, scroll placement, video commercial, and interview on IBS. Plus much more. Email bourgeoismedia@look.com for details or bourgeoismedia.com.
Hi, I'm Mel Greenberg, author of Running with Our Eyes Closed, book 1 in the Empty Nested series. To the world, Samantha has the perfect life. 3 wonderful children, a loving husband, so she thought, and a life split between Dallas and Italy. When her youngest leaves for college, it all comes crashing down, forcing Samantha to re-examine everything. Over 7 days in one of the most romantic countries in the world, Samantha faces the past she thought she'd overcome and begins to redefine her role as a woman, a wife, and a mother.
What would you do if you had to put your life on hold to care for a loved one? Well, during COVID, almost all of us have been doing just that. I'm Charlotte Canyon, award-winning author, actress, and speaker. And my book, You Have to Laugh to Keep from Crying, shows you how you can revive, thrive, and survive with 4 golden rules. You have to love one another. You have to respect one another. You have to have patience with one another. And most of all, you've got to forgive one another. I'm Charlotte Canyon, and I approve this message.
Welcome to the Indie Beacon Show, where readers can discover great new indie authors. Find us on all major podcast systems and YouTube. Join Diann Floyd Bohem on today's show.
Welcome back, everybody. We're having a great conversation with our author. So, Charlayne, I have a question for you. I was on your website, and you and I have something in common, and that's Ancestry. I absolutely love to study ancestry and my families, and I have done so many different lines of our families, and it's just so interesting. I don't just look at okay, who was born, they lived, they produced, they died, etc. I like to read the stories, and that's something you like to do as well. So my question to you is, do you ever look at the history and think, oh, that has inspired me, or I want to put that name in the book?
I've done that. I've also run all of their lines. I had to come back with who was made by whom and how that story evolved and where they went, because we go back and forth in the histories. So I used my ancestry with one of the lines. I just put a new tree in, and it's all my vampires on my tree.
Oh my goodness, I love it.
So I can keep up with who's doing what and who's related to whom. So that's how I worked it out. And Marcus was born in 1460, and he was the son of one of the gentlemen in the War of the Roses, the Lancaster side. Mm-hmm. And he died during the War of the Roses and then became a vampire.
Wow.
And the whole story there. So yeah, I use Ancestry, but I use it for my writing as much as I do for the 5,000 something people I have on my regular
On
tree.
your regular tree. That's incredible. We'll have to meet and compare notes.
Okay.
I'm sure some of your ancestors helped to, our ancestors helped to change and make a lovely mark in history.
Oh,
I
yes.
know I know mine have.
Oh, yes.
Well, great. Can you tell me, everyone now, how to get a hold of your books?
Well, I'm up on Amazon, Barnes and Noble, Smashwords if you want ebooks. I do, when I can do the paperbacks, I'm, findable at most science fiction conventions in the Texas, Oklahoma area. And they can find me on my website or through my email, and we can discuss sending autograph copies. I don't mind. So that's how you find those. And the email address is on the website, but it's Charlayne Denney at gmail.com. Charlayne.Denney. And the website is Charlayne Denney without the .net. It's not a .com yet, it's a .net, but we're getting .com soon.
Well, congratulations. That's a big deal to get the .coms for sure in this day and age. There's so many taken. Now, for our listeners who might be hearing this on where it's a podcast, would you mind spelling your website for us?
Okay, my name is CHARLAYNED. And my last name is Denney, DENNEY, like the restaurant, but with the extra E. And that you can get from my website, and my email address are both Charlayne Denney.
Great. .net.
.net.
.net. Soon to come .com. Right.
Soon to be .com. Gmail for the emails. That's, everybody I think has a Gmail account nowadays. So
do you do a newsletter or anything?
Not yet. I'm so busy with the writing and all the craziness that I do. Yes.
You have so many characters. I can't believe you have a whole tree with your ancestry of your books. I love it.
All the angels, all the demons, all of the vampires, and then we've got the humans we've got a particular human that's causing problems. He's the reason the building blew up.
Oh my goodness gracious.
And the vampire cat. I didn't say anything about Baron.
Oh my goodness, a cat. A vampire one, no less.
Baron Bast von Samedi. He's a 40-pound rare male tortoiseshell. He ran into her crypt chasing a rat. She was so hungry she couldn't help it. She ate him, and then she discovered he was dead, and so she bit him like her maker did, and gave him blood and said, come back, and he did. And so Baron is like everybody's favorite character.
Oh my goodness. And I guess it has more than 9 lives then.
He has one permanent one.
Oh.
And he's a snark. He actually talks to Lily and to the ghouls that have share blood. Mm-hmm. So you get his running commentary through the books, and he is a lot of fun.
Oh, I have to read more about him. I might even have to have that stuffed animals. You might have to make a stuffed animal of him. That would be really great to have.
I've thought about that. I've looked into getting a couple, but I haven't found one that quite looks like Baron yet. Mm-hmm. So if you're on my website, there are pictures of Baron up there.
I'm going to double check it as soon as we finish. And everyone else, you do the same thing. Well, I want to thank you for joining us tonight. It has been such an honor and pleasure to interview you. I can't tell you how excited I was to come on and meet someone who has such an interesting line of books to read. And so are your books in BookBox by chance?
I think they're in BookBox. If they haven't been, I've been working on it. It sounds familiar. It's just been crazyville at our house recently, so I would have to go look.
Okay, well, I'm sure it is, but I'm definitely going to order some in my book box. And for those who are listening this summer, we have book box. It's a great way to have your books delivered straight to you. And I highly recommend that you buy one of Charlayne's books.
Yeah.
Well, we'll close for this evening, and thank you so very much.
Thank you too. It's been a pleasure.
Take care. Bye-bye.
Yeah, you too. Bye-bye.
Thank you for watching or listening to the Indie Beacon Show, produced by Diann Bourgeois for the Authors Marketing International LLC. Copyright 2021. Voiceover by Diann Bourgeois. If you would like to be a sponsor of the show, please email us at authorsmarketing@outlook.com. If you would like to be on the show, please complete the form found on our website at indiebeacon.com. You may also watch previous year's shows on the website. Music is Frolic of Words, created for Indie Beacon